That's been used by manufacturers for a long time to fill in stepped or joggle joints between panels on the body shells of cars. We've found it in everything from E-types to Ferraris to American big old Yank tank stuff, Morris Minors, the lot, it's all there. And a stepped or joggle joint will be used between maybe the quarter panel and the rear scuttle, or quarter panel and the sill. And obviously you don't want a big step in the bodywork, so you get it nice and smooth. If you put the lead in, the lead will expand and contract with the vehicle as it goes through the heat cycles that we get with our dodgy weather here in Britain. And it's completely waterproof, doesn't shrink, won't fall out. The only way that lead comes out is if you warm it up to liquid form and get it to run out again. So there's some bits at the front that we've done previously that you can come and have a look at afterwards, and it will go to prove those points. What you've got to be very careful of with this is you use fluxes, and they're acidic and they will eat and attack your metal. So you've got to be very, very clean with this. So as we're going through the process, I'll tell you about when you would clean and with what. But to begin with, Steve's just abrading the surface. He's used an abrasive, an 80 grit abrasive sheet, and also a wire brush. What he's doing is taking away the blue that's around all the spot welds that holds this panel together. That blue is an oxide that comes, it's the heat affected zone from the weld, so you need to get rid of that because nothing likes sticking to oxides. So now what he's going to do is paint on a flux paste. So this flux paste has flux in it, as you would imagine, and it's also got powdered solder in there as well. So what you need to do with this is put it on a good distance either side of the joint that you're trying to fill, because what you don't want is a very definite edge very quickly after the joint. You need to feather out your repair so that you can make it invisible. So he paints this on a good distance either side. Anywhere that this is will get what's called tinned, and that then it'll facilitate the lead to stick to it. If you put your lead on and then spread the lead out past your tinning, it might look like it's stuck, but actually when it all goes cool, you'll be able to get your fingernail under the corner of it, you'll be able to peel the lead off. It doesn't actually stick to the steel very well. So we need to heat this up now to make it do its work. So he's just using a normal plumbing type blowtorch, nothing fancy. I think when Steve learnt to do this as an apprentice, he did use the oxyacetylene that they had in the garage at the time. But what you find is that's really aggressive, and for learning you need something that's a little bit more easily controllable. So we're doing this after this process, this is when we'd give it the first clean. So you'd use some really hot water with some baking soda in it that would clean off all the impurities, get rid of the acids and fluxes. Because like I said, if you come up afterwards, you can see there's a panel that we've done previous show, November, and left it, and that all round the edges, you can see where it's starting to go quite rusty because of those fluxes. And you've got to think, if you're doing this on the side of your vehicle, and the whole side of the vehicle's bare metal, where all the fumes are going up the side of the car and touching it, that will also start rusting if you don't clean it off afterwards. So cleaning this is really, really important afterwards. So what we've got now is a stick of solder, body solder. It's plumber's grade D, which has the right amounts of lead, tin and antimony in it in the right percentages to give what's called a long pasty stage. So if any of you have done any electrical soldering, you'll have noticed that your solder there, as you warm it up, it's solid, 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 and all of a sudden it goes liquid very, very quickly over a very short temperature range and runs into the cable that you're soldering, ideally. This one, because of how it's put together, it has a broader temperature range at which it turns from solid to liquid. So what that enables you to do is get it to a soft stage where you can mush it into the joint like Steve's doing, and you're also able to push it around and smooth it out. So to do that, we're going to use a wooden paddle, and also then we're going to lubricate that a little bit with some tallow. Tallow is the same stuff that electricians use to pull cables through conduit, but what it does here, it stops any of that lead sticking to the wooden panel. So the beauty of this is, as Steve took away that heat, it started to cool and solidify, but all you need to do is go back, play the heat over it a little bit more, and it goes back up into its pasty stage temperature window, and then you're able to spread it around, hopefully a little bit like butter. Now if you're going to practice this, if you want to do this, you can buy everything that you need off Jeff at LB Restoration Services over there, and I would advise having a bit of a practice on the bench and do it horizontal like Steve's doing it now, till you get your head round moving it around and not warming it up too much, because obviously the more you heat it, the more liquid it's going to get, and it can actually run off, but you are able to catch it and push it back to where you need to if need be. Now quite quickly Steve's got a fairly smooth surface there. I will warn you, it does make it look a lot easier than it actually is, but if you take a kit away today, you can have a practice in your garage at home before you go anywhere near the car, before you're going to do it, and I would definitely sort of advise that first. So quite quickly then, that job is somewhere near finished. So what you'd have one or two places you're going to do this, so you'd move on to a different part of the car where you're doing another bit of lead loading to let this cool down. But obviously we don't want to be keeping here for hours and hours, so Steve's just going to cool it down quite quickly with a bit of water underneath first. So you're going to need to shape this now, get it ready, get it closer to being where it needs to be before you send it to the paint process. So to do that, we're going to use what's called body file. So hopefully you can see they've got really big, sharp, curved teeth. What that does, it will take filings of the lead off that are a good size, that they just fall to the floor, because what you don't want to do with this now is hit it with anything powered, sander or anything like that, and get the lead airborne where you can breathe it in, because basically it's not very good for you. So you need to make sure that all your filings are falling to the floor, and you clean them up very safely afterwards. So you see Steve's got gloves on, he'll make sure he's washing everything afterwards as well. So when you're using the body file, some of them are adjustable and you can make them curved, convex or concave to follow whatever curves you're on your vehicle they are. This obviously is using a flat one, it's just on a flat surface, but it'll be lifting the leading edge of that just very slightly so that it doesn't dig in, and it smooths up that surface. If there's any little tiny imperfections left afterwards, a skimmer filler by your body man or whoever's going to paint it doesn't go amiss on this, it will work fine. But this repair now, because it's had some heat, it will have crept in between those spot welds, made that joint completely watertight. Like I said, it will expand and contract with the car, and the only way you're going to get that lead out of there is by warming it up to the point where it becomes liquid and runs out again. This is used quite a lot around door openings on E-types and things like that, where maybe when they put it together at the factory it's not been quite as you'd like, so you can build up the corners of the door openings and make the door gap a bit more nearer where you need it to be, sort of to perfect that door gap. If you want to talk to us about anything you've got going on back at home, ask us any questions about your restoration projects, and feel free to do so afterwards. I think we've quite quickly, Steve's shown us there that what's achievable. You will need to practice a little bit before you get quite as good as Steve, but I think we need to say thank you to Steve for that demonstration. Thank you guys for coming and watching. Hope you've found that interesting in some way. We've got more demonstrations through the day, they're all on the board at the back there. We've also got a visit this afternoon from Mr. Brewer. He's coming, and if you want to come and ask him some questions about anything really, they're fairly open, the guys who come when they talk, so please feel free to come back at 1 and ask them some questions. So thanks a lot. So all that's left for me to say is have a really good rest of the day at the show, and we'll hope to see you later. Thank you.